Alright everyone, welcome back. This is Railcoon with Elaine Sun for iCCup Television. Thank you for tuning in to StarsWar number 6, sponsored by Gigabyte and their killer series of motherboards. They're fantastic products. They're used by a lot of top-end companies, and you should definitely check them out. Elaine is definitely a Gigabyte fangirl, if I've ever met one. And we are now on Xel'Naga Caverns, and we can see that Dimaga is now going to be the blue Zerg in the top right-hand corner, and in the bottom left we have LoveCD as the red Protoss.
I would expect Dimaga to actually go with gas pool on this map, unlike the other one, because a lot of players had agreed for a long time that it's actually almost impossible for Zerg to hatch first on this map without being a huge danger from almost any kind of aggressive push. Of course, it is a fairly open map. There are plenty of places for any pressure builds to engage. It's difficult to defend the entire area.
Yeah, Maro's just about the only Zerg player that I see that will go hatch first every time on Xel'Naga, just cuz. He's actually rather stubborn about that. He goes hatch first, even on Xel'Naga Caverns, and he's like, okay, bring it. Like, he sort of issues that challenge, and it's interesting because not many Zergs do that anymore, so it actually kind of catches Protoss off guard sometimes. They're like, wait, you actually have a hatch? I didn't prepare to pressure you, what the hell? And they actually don't have the buildings down that they need to try and punish that. And it's actually, every time I've seen him do that, it's worked out pretty well in his favor, so a little bit of maybe metagaming going on there by Maro, but Dimaga is actually going to be going for the safer build, going for the Speedling opening here because of the fact that the map is just so much smaller, and like you were saying, it's farther away from the ramp and harder to defend. But oh my god, look at this, LoveCD going for a 16 Nexus, even though he did scout the pool first. So LoveCD, you are a brave man, because you are facing Dimaga, a Zerg player known for his aggressive play, and it would not be very difficult for him to scout this out, turn around and say, okay, I kill you now. So we'll see what happens now.
Right, Zerg reactions to an early expansion from either race these days is a very standard, actually, roach pressure. Sometimes an all-in, but generally it's like everyone reacts the same way now. Zerg no longer just, you know what, you expanded, I'm gonna go take more bases. 3 out of 4 times you actually see them go for that aggressive roach build to try and punish them for this. So he is taking a massive risk right now with this build. It's interesting that he actually went for the very safe expansion on, the biggest and safest map to do so, with a 3-gate.
I really like his cannon placement, though. Like, if you take a look at it, he's got it so that you're gonna have to run down around through these minerals to get to his ramp. 4 Zerglings are actually gonna try and make it by. Oh, but he does drop a pylon to finish the wall off there, and then cancels it. So. Scaring Dimaga off. If it was just that first cannon, then the Zerglings would have been able to come in and start applying pressure to this Nexus. So did put the second one here into the mineral line, and that's actually covering quite a lot of space here. So LoveCD looks like he is going to be getting away with this because of the fact that Dimaga did not start a Baneling Nest, he did not start a Roach Warren. Dimaga kind of well known for his Baneling busts against Protoss. So I was actually looking for that possibly, but looks like he is going to go for the more old-fashioned style of just like, I'll see your expansion, I'll raise you one, as he does have units sending out all across the map, including a drone. Where's this drone going? I do smell a third hatch, but where's it going to go? Maybe over at 9 o'clock?
I assume at the usual place, but it could be at some crazy place like 9 o'clock. But yeah, he is going to go for this third. Eventually going to be able to take down the rocks between his natural and his third. But obviously it doesn't have the units or time to do that at the moment, and it should be fairly safe because I don't know if Protoss will actually expect that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how LoveCD responds to this. I'm using a couple people in chat saying he should nest T him in reference to the GSL finals. I'm going to have to start using that as a verb. Zerg needs to nest T somebody.
Nesty has been doing that build for a very long time. I mean, he won the World Championship, or not World Championship, the GSTL for IM in the first GSTL season with that. Like, he was their clutch last guy, and he did the same build against fast expansion from Protoss on Xel'Naga. So and he of course did it, so many times in the finals.
Yeah, if you look at the build here of LoveCD, he's actually completely walled off his natural expansion here with this pylon covering all of these buildings, and then he had a zealot in between the geyser and the minerals, and then he's got the pylons down here below the mineral line. The main issue is going to be if he gets a robotics, he's not really going to be able to use immortals without tearing down some of these buildings. But by the time that happens, he's not going to have to be so worried about having such an aggressive wall-off at his natural. But the third base has finished by Dimaga. There are roaches on the way now. No layer, so he's not going to be going for the quick roach speed. But there's 9 roaches. He could still be going for some delayed aggression, but it would be rather difficult as the gateway count is getting up there for LoveCD and the warp gate upgrade just finished.
Right, he just actually took the 3 more other gases he had available. That was an incredibly late second gas. Pretty standard when you do go for this such an early expansion, but he didn't want to get any sentries at all. He made this wall off and made extra cannons, so he didn't have to get that gas. And could focus on his economy, actually. Getting a Twilight Council now might actually be going for that blink play that we've seen is so deadly against Zerg. ST Ace uses it extremely well, has a fantastic record against Zerg. 2-0-10 with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him do that blink play and just do amazing things with it. Yeah, if you look at this, LoveCD setting up the proxy pylon and applying pressure to this third base right as Dimaga finished breaking down those rocks, so he is going to be able to defend this much easier now. LoveCD, seeing that those rocks have been taken down, is realizing that he is going to have to back up here. It's going to be easier for Dimaga to hold this, so he's just going to wait for a couple more warp-ins. He is starting that blink upgrade, and thinking about circling around through the Tasteless Secret hallway, possibly to set something up on the high ground, but there's nothing actually mining here on this base yet, so that's not going to help him out too much, but except for another proxy pylon in case this first one does get cleared out.
Alright, Protoss is doing a nice job of kind of dancing back and forth, fading pressure, because it's forcing Dimaga to make a ridiculous number of units. I mean, he has, right now, 23 lings and 19 roaches on the board when he's actually down in harvesters. So he hasn't been able to make drones because he's scared of this push with stalkers. And it's going to let LoveCD get a nice advantage economically, where he can pump out more and more stalkers later on to actually put on real aggression. Ooh, a lot of lings wasted. I think that was maybe a bad rally?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that was. It might have just been poking up the ramp to see if he was still there. Because a lot of players do this sort of thing, then don't commit just to make you not drone up. But it looks like he is actually becoming in. Blink upgrade did just finish, and now with his pylon on the high ground, he can't actually blink up, but he is actually mis-microing this. Several of them not quite making it up the cliff, and those ones are getting torn up by the roaches, but still LoveCD doing a good job of microing that, minimizing the damage, but there's just a flood of units coming from Dimaga. Reinforcement stalkers are warping in constantly, but it looks like Dimaga should be able to clear this out.
If he's going to commit this many stalkers to this pressure, he really needs to kind of try to blink some down and snipe that hatchery before his aggression is taken out, but this hatchery does survive, and he actually has to retreat with all of these blink stalkers. That was actually some fantastic micro. We saw a ton of blink stalkers with low health blinked on the high ground. Even now there's so many with such low health. They need to blink away, yeah, do that clutch blink away from those speedlings.
He did kind of miss up that micro because the stalker's just a little bit too far away from the high ground. He's trying to blink onto the high ground to escape those roaches, but a lot of them kept just blinking right up next to the cliff. You can see that Dimaga had enough units that he actually wasn't able to do the single stalker blink. He had to blink 2-3 stalkers at a time, and it's always much more difficult to micro that properly when you're doing it like that. So Dimaga just has a surprising number of units, given the fact that if you check his worker count, it's only 41 drones right now. His third base isn't saturated at all. Dimaga is just producing a lot of units out of nowhere, and he's got a lot of minerals still too, so Dimaga just going straight roach zergling at the moment. He's almost got the level 2 melee upgrades done as well, and he's looking like he might be able to turn around and apply some pressure onto LoveCD here.
Well, Dimaga has only been mining out of 2 gas at this entire time. He hasn't really gone focused on upgrades with a single evolution chamber, and just now getting roach speed, so he's had the extra workers on minerals to pump out those lings and roaches. But should probably get more gas soon and start working on double upgrades, because that is how he was able to take the last game so extremely well when Protoss was just on 1-1 upgrades, and he was on 2-2, I think.
Yeah, he had 2-2. I don't know if he actually started at level 3 at the end of the game. I was too busy watching the Ultralisk own everything, but he had the capability to start the 3-3, and I don't know if he actually did, but those upgrades definitely helping him out a lot in that last game. Dimaga's finally getting an opportunity to drone, but still, given the fact that he hasn't been droning, he isn't even really sitting in a decent place economically as what you normally see. He's up 50 supply over LoveCD. His upgrades are doing pretty well in comparison to his. So it's not like he's falling behind.
I just realized this is basically July style. I mean, make 48 harvesters, continuously pump units, although he's not really being aggressive with this army. He's trying to build it up to a number that can, I guess, overwhelm Protoss. Needs to probably go snipe that third base that Protoss just put up. He had a Zergling there. He is aware of it.
Yeah, level 2 melee upgrades did just finish for Dimaga. And, you know, he's just moving around the center of the map, still spreading this creep. You can see LoveCD is completely scared to go face him one-on-one. His Stalker army is getting rather large. So the key here is going to be the micro from LoveCD. He is going to have to micro these Stalkers much better once they do engage. And he's going to have to hit him in a pretty decent position. He doesn't want to get caught in one of these relatively open spots in the center of the map. He does want to withdraw to one of the ramps, but it looks like Dimaga is going to get a surround with the Zerglings, forces him to blink all the Stalkers. That's so important. He can't blink micro at all right now because he had to run away from the Zerglings. Now the Roaches are coming in and killing a lot of Stalkers. Dimaga is just completely rolling over LoveCD and this expansion right now.
Unfortunately, he had half of his riches on the high ground, and they had to swing around and weren't really participating in the fight for a little while. I think LoveCD is actually going to hold this, partially because he did retreat to those cannons, and partially because his blink micro has been really great. He's diminished the roach count by way more than him expected.
Yeah, if you look at it, Dimaga still has a supply advantage, and he killed a large number of the Stalkers. If you consider the amount that Dimaga is remacroing right now, oh, Dimaga actually coming in with the second wave of forces way too soon, throwing away a couple roaches there. I thought he was doing alright, but after giving away those extra couple of units, that was a few too many losses. He probably could have remacroed that and possibly taken that expansion, but after losing that extra group of roaches and Zerglings, it looks like LoveCD will be alright now, warping in more Stalkers. His count is getting back up there, and actually he's ahead in supply over Dimaga after killing that group of roaches there.
Right, so Dimaga, I think, may have made a mistake in his upgrades because he was going very, very roach heavy, but his first upgrade was actually melee attacks. He engaged just before his Carapace finished, actually, and these Stalkers had +2 attacks. So they were just able to melt those roaches, which had 0 armor and 0 attack upgrade. So it looked fairly unbalanced in numbers, but with the upgrades, they were just able to smash through everything. He didn't really have enough Zerglings in that engagement.
Yeah, here he comes again with the Zerglings. He's standing on the watchtower. The Zerglings are actually preventing him from holding that, but thankfully there is an observer in the area, so he can blink up onto the high ground. I think Dimaga needs to try and actually, you know, save some of these Zerglings. You know, he's trying to get LoveCD to use all of his Stalker blink cooldown at the same time, and then get a good surround with the Zerglings, which he did successfully in that first engagement. But then the roaches were too slow to come in and join the party. If he microed that a bit better, it would have done a lot more damage. Here he goes again, engaging on the high ground next to the gold. LoveCD doing a good job of blinking down onto the low grounds. Once again, doing a great job preserving his Stalker count and killing all of the Zerglings. Dimaga is remacroing. There are some infestors popping out, but a lot of them are getting sniped because he's right here next to this hatchery. He does need to get back up onto the high ground. One fungal did actually go off. But both players trading just about even in that engagement, but actually no, that was...
count is really showing now, though.
Yeah, this is going much better for LoveCD over time because his economy is just so much better than Dimaga's.
Right, Dimaga's economy and, you know, saved up minerals has really dried up. He won't be able to remacro after this group. He did get a really nice fungal off and eliminate a lot of those Stalkers, but unfortunately he's just not able to remacro as quickly as Protoss, and it's not looking good for him.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to that first engagement with a couple little missed micros from Dimaga. It looked really good at the start, and that was his really big opportunity. Right. Dimaga actually coming forward. If he has fungals, he might be able to take out that group of Stalkers, but he just doesn't have enough energy. And oh, look at that, Dimaga blinking forward with just a couple Stalkers and taking out that hatchery. That means that LoveCD is going to be in a really great position. Couple really good fungals going off on these Stalkers, though, completely clearing out this army. If Dimaga can just muster a couple more units and sweep in and try desperately to take out this third Nexus, he can pull back even with him, possibly.
Right, he doesn't have much money to really remacro, though. He made a lot of Zerglings, but I don't think it's big enough force to take on this third base when there are constantly reinforcing Stalkers being warped in.
If you look at it, though, there's just 9 Stalkers on the field right now, 3 more joining. There's only 1 cannon. I think if Dimaga went for it, he'd probably be able to do it. And since he is in a decent amount of trouble right now, he has to try and make something happen. You can see he's moving his army around, trying to decide where he wants to go. He's got a good infestor count, and he's got 3 fungals just about. So if he micros this really well, he could do a bunch of damage, and LoveCD has to be really careful. He doesn't want to give up these Stalkers, because if these Stalkers die, he's going to be in a world of hurt.
I do like that he's constantly been keeping check on the Zerg creep there with his observer, making sure that it doesn't get past his half of the map, because if he does, his Blink Stalkers won't be able to get away nearly as easily. As we saw, as soon as those Speedlings got off of the creep, they weren't able to keep chasing down Blink Stalkers. Ooh, interestingly enough, he actually got High Templar. I thought he was going to transition into High Templar Storm, but he goes straight into Archons, which are of course great against Speedlings.
Oh yeah, especially with the range buff now as well. It's going to allow them to do a little bit better against roaches. The 2 range and Archons really hurt previously, but with 4 Archons here and Dimaga going a lot of Zerglings, Dimaga really just can't fight this army head to head now. You can see he sees those Archons and immediately just runs away. Because those Zerglings just can't do anything against that. Fungal's going off on this group of Stalkers. He's trying to get a good surround, but he just, once the Archons are here, once again, he does have to just immediately leave. Blinking forward and taking out the Infestors as well. Great control here by LoveCD. The low-tech army of Dimaga is really coming back to bite him now that these Archons are on the field. That's a great play from LoveCD.
Right, with a 3 range, they do 43 damage against biological, so they're able to just one-shot almost everything. Sniping out a ton of these Infestors. The Infestors aren't really being pushed back. I mean, they are out of energy, but he cannot waste them. He's let so many Infestors get sniped. Trying to fungal those Archons, but the shields do regenerate fairly quickly. Yeah,
that was really well done there by LoveCD. You could see he blinked directly on top of the big group of Infestors and focused those down. Realized that he doesn't want Dimaga to be able to get that energy back and keep fungaling. So one thing that's been helping him out so far are those fungal growths, but LoveCD is looking really good. Now the 3rd base is down, 4th is going to follow shortly thereafter, and Dimaga just still doesn't have any units to be able to take on these Archons. He killed 1 with the combination of the fungal and the roaches, but he just doesn't have anything else to take down the rest, and straight roach isn't going to work as well, so he does have to throw out the GG. Dimaga going for that aggressive Zergling Roach build really just hurt his tech too much to be able to survive against that army from LoveCD.
Right, he went for a ridiculous a number of army units early on without getting like upgrades from him. If you do that and skimp on gas, you know, if you're not going to go for a higher attack, he needs to get those upgrades, and he engaged a +2 attack Stalker army with 0 upgrades on those roaches. Like, if he waited just 15 more seconds, his Carapace would have been done, and he would have gotten out of that fight with either a lot more damage done, or just completely survived.
Yeah, he also, when he engaged down that ramp at the 3rd base of LoveCD over here, when he forced all the Stalkers to blink, he kind of kept moving forward with his Zerglings when the Roaches weren't in position. So he probably, in that same token, if he'd waited for the armor to finish there, and then moved down together with his army and one big ball instead of splitting it, it would have done better as well. So there's a little bit of a slip up with, his armor upgrade being done, a little bit of a micro slip up, and then LoveCD with the Archon switch, a little bit unexpected, but it worked out really well.
I really like that Protoss have been experimenting with Archon builds. Generally we see so often that you have to get those Colossus to keep the mid-game big Zerg push away. But he's going straight into Blink Stalker, Mass Blink Stalker with pretty good upgrades into Archons instead of, High Templar or anything. And it's surprisingly powerful because with that range, they're really, really effective. Like, before the Zerg army can get in melee range, just one-shot Speedlings.
Yeah, so give us a moment here. we are going to be loading up game number 3. We're going to be taking a quick commercial break while we get that done. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Once again, this is Railcoon and Elaine Sun. And we'll be right back with game number 3 between Dimaga and LoveCD after this quick commercial.
He also wasn't microing those roaches. Like, not scoot and shooting.
Yeah. There's a couple different things that Dimaga could have done there. I think he got a little bit too... Oh, I've got him now. And then didn't keep up with the control as much as he needed to.
That big battle just seemed like overwhelmingly in Dimaga's favor, but he didn't check the upgrades.
Yeah.
He also left half his roaches in the back for a little while. And he wasn't reinforcing like perhaps if he had reinforced a bit more, he could have won that. But it was surprisingly lopsided loss for him.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I thought Dimaga had him there for a little bit as well, but didn't wind up getting that. And it looks like the commercial's done. So we should be ready to get started here in just a moment. Gave everybody just a couple more seconds because the commercials do take a little bit longer for some people. And then we'll be getting started here. Game number 3 between Dimaga and LoveCD. Once again, the winner of this match will be going to the live finals in Shanghai, China, which is a really big deal. That's where the big money is going to be handed out. Prize pool's $8,400. And so this game's super important for both these players.
Chad is actually discussing the Chrono Boost. I think he was actually saving up the Chrono Boost for like... I think it's actually better for Protoss to like slowly max out their units and then save their Chrono Boost so that when they do lose their army, they can Chrono Boost all of their gates and re-max quickly.
Yeah.
Instead of, trying to build up as quickly as possible.
I've seen players do that more recently, and it actually works out pretty well when you Chrono Boost about 16 gateways.
Arctis has been playing